Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Every week we do it, the top 5 teams in the NHL, followed by the bottom 5, because nobody else will tell you who they are but us. Darren, read them and weep, and tell me afterwards if you agree. The number 1 team, nobody's going to argue, it's the Vegas Golden Knights. They've set records. They are the best. They're dominating everybody. Vegas is number 1. For now, it's the Vancouver Canucks at number 2. Don't tell anybody. Kevin the Medium, very excited about it. Biggest Canucks fan I know. I'm not joking.
Damn.
They've won 4 in a row. The Vancouver Canucks are the number 2 team in the NHL, plus an NHL best plus 30. Putting up 10 against the Sharks didn't hurt, but they're keeping them out of their own net too. Number 1, Vegas. Number 2, Vancouver. Number 3, the Boston Bruins. We're waiting for the bottom to fall out. I think it'll be the end of November. Number 4, it's the New York Rangers. They just keep winning. They're setting records. To be honest, I didn't see it coming, but you can't argue with what they're doing. And number 5, the Colorado Avalanche, because they've stubbed their toe a little bit in some games, but they're still the Colorado Avalanche, number 5 overall. Now, the bottom 5, the 28th team in the NHL is the Montreal Canadiens. They're not there in the overall standings for it, 5th worst, but they are, and they've lost 4 in a row. The 29th team's the Chicago Blackhawks, even though they got Connor Bedard. They're bad. They're not helping him. Connor's -8 coming into Florida this week. Ottawa is the 3rd worst team. We're just waiting on a coaching change, which reminds me, Edmonton's 31st overall, 2nd worst. I think we're waiting for a coaching change there. And the worst team in the NHL, 32nd, is the San Jose Sharks. As Matthew Barnaby said, a borderline AHL team right now.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Let's talk a little bit about your Browns fandom.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, I go down. My dad and I make an annual trip down every single year. We've been doing it since 2007. And I'm 3rd-generation Browns fan. So this was kind of born into me. By choice, probably wouldn't be my first pick with all the suffering that we've gone through. And then it got passed down to me, and I have had a less successful run as a fan so far.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
That's us. Thank you, Rick Regan. Welcome to your favorite daytime sports talk show, coming at you on the Game Plus television network. Obviously, WQEE radio. And we're ready to rock for the next 2 hours. And I am in a rainy South Florida studio. Darren Moose DuPont is Vancouver as he works his way towards this weekend and broadcasting the Hardy Cup, Canadian University Canada West Championship. Moose, what's going on out there? Is there talk of a Stanley Cup parade, the directions and where it's going to go for the Vancouver Canucks? Because people are really getting excited about their team, and they should there in Vancouver.
They are excited. I can't, it is something else. And I'm getting sent, because I'm out here, people are texting me memes of the Canucks, and there's celebrations and all the rest. And yeah, we all know it's too early for the Canuck fans to get too excited and start thinking about Stanley Cup, but this was so far above what they expected coming into the year. And to be honest, I see a lot of Canucks fans. It feels even better seeing Calgary and Edmonton struggle the way they do. It's just completely a little mind-boggling. So, they're really excited, and but it's also the same you guys. We got a lot of rain coming in today too, so a couple of rainy studios this morning.
Of course, well, that's Vancouver for you. You expect that there, but not here in the Sunshine State. But that's okay. It's a nice reprieve from the heat. I don't know who we got as guest today. Fairholm, that's the one, right, Clark? Fairholm? Everybody keeps...
Bingo!
Keeps canceling and moving around. So, yeah, Jeff Fairholm, former Toronto Argonaut, Saskatchewan Roughrider, Grey Cup champion in both places, is going to be with us. My favorite all-time Saskatchewan Roughrider. He's going to be with us. We thought we were going to have Dave Naylor from TSN. We thought we were going to have Mike Hogan, the voice of the Argos, and then both of them had a schedule change. It's a busy time of year for both guys. So Fairway joins us because he's in the sales business. They never have much going on. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please, Director Jordan? Which, by the way, happy birthday to you. It's Jordan's
Hell
birthday. Did you know that?
yes.
Yeah. We're going to give him the virtual bumps. And he and the missus are going out for a birthday supper tonight. And if anybody deserves it, it's Director Jordan. And by the way, you talk about our guests and what we do here. This just dawned on me. Now that things are slowing down, I'm in one wonderful location. I'm not traipsing all over the continent, planes, trains, and automobiles, sleeping in casino hotels and God knows where. Things are slowing down. Things are coming to me. And it reminded me of when the NHL Heritage Classic was at Mosaic Stadium in Regina back in 2019. I went to an event, and you'll remember it, with the Hockey Night in Canada crew. Don Cherry wasn't there, and I was very upset about that. But that's a story for another time. Craig Simpson, the star color guy on Hockey Night in Canada, got up and addressed the crowd. And he said, you know, it's nice to be out here in Western Canada. Last night we were walking through downtown Regina, and I was looking in the windows of the bars and the restaurants, and what was on the TVs? NHL and CFL. And I thought, yep, that's Western Canada for you. That's what they care about, the NHL and the CFL. And I never thought anything about it until, like, yesterday, Darren. I was like, out of all the gobbledygook that people spoke that night, Ron McLean talked, Kelly Rudy talked, Craig Simpson, why would that one sentence stick with me unless it was supposed to stick with me? And I just realized it yesterday.
I know.
You know what I mean?
But he summed it up so well, and you know, you relate that to this show. It's what makes our show so great, right? It speaks to Canadians, but it's a Western Canadian perspective. You know, we'll always be from the prairies and from the West. That's never going to change no matter where we end up. And that's the heart of that part of the country and that part of the world is NHL hockey and CFL football, no matter how much we become NFL fans.
And I'm sorry to cut you off, and we're going to jump into the quick six show topics, but we only got one guest, so what the hell? We got a lot of time here. Like, I feel like I'm doing people a service, a good thing when I'm telling them the truth. Like that guy wrote in from Medicine Hat yesterday. He just found our show on his cable TV, and he's like, love your show. I'd like to get it on it sometime. And I'm like, you're never coming on the show. So let's just make that clear. And the reason I bring that up is there are soccer people trying to get on, and various other sports, but, you know, we'll do curling. But soccer, we're not a soccer show, brah. Like, I appreciate it, but it's not. And the reason I bring that up is, you know, my counselor, Rand. He's a national treasure in the counseling industry, not just addictions and mental health, but relationships, all the rest. And he sat me down and he just said, with regard, and you know the story, that what he did, what he was referring to, but he's like, Rod, it's not happening. What you're waiting for is probably never going to happen. So move on. It was a gift to me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it hurt. It hurt to hear it. But he was right. And it was, you know what I mean? It was unburdening.
Yeah.
So we're not going to talk soccer. Did you hit the horn, Jordan? Can you hit it again, please? Thank you.
Bob's your uncle.
We're a little early for the life lessons today, but what the hell? You can't schedule feelings. We're going to open with this. Sam Reinhart scored 15 seconds into overtime, and the defending Eastern Conference champion Florida Panthers rallied to beat the Washington Capitals 4-3 Wednesday night. Alex Ovechkin remains stuck on 2 goals on the season, matching his lowest total through 11 games and slowing since 2009, and slowing down his pursuit of Wayne Gretzky's career record. I'm not going to spend any more time on the Florida Panthers than this. I watched the whole game last night, and then I went on a post-game show, the Locked On Panthers post-game show with Armando Velez, and it was a lot of fun. It was later than I normally would stay up. I'm not usually conscious by the end of the game. This one went to overtime, and then I had to wait another 20 minutes to go on the post-game show, but what the hell? I was telling Serena this morning, I built my name across Canada by going on every sports talk radio station from coast to coast, talking hockey and football. Now it's just podcasts, and I'm doing it here in Florida. You're welcome for the free branding advice. But I'm interested in your take on this. Claude Giroux had 2 goals and an assist as Ottawa scored thrice in the third period to beat Toronto 6-3. Dominic Kubalik also scored twice for Ottawa, while Tim Stützle had a goal and 3 assists. Jacob Chychrun scored and set up another for the Sens. Matthew Joseph added 3 assists, and Eunice Corpusalo made 27 saves. The only thing I'll throw in is this. I've told you how much I'm enjoying Sean Simpson's new career and Twitter feed. He was torched by TSN Ottawa Radio, started his own show just this Monday, and on Twitter, after the Senators had their way with the hapless Leafs last night, Sean Simpson, who spent all week setting ablaze to the Senators franchise, tweeted, "Can we all be careful and ease ourselves back onto the bandwagon?" He gets it. Now everything's great because they beat the Leafs in Toronto. It was funny. And people say, Simmer's show is on at the same time as yours, Rod. Why would you support his show? It's at the same time as yours. Because cheering somebody else's success and encouraging them doesn't diminish your own. So how are we in Leaf land today?
It wasn't a great defensive effort last night, that's for sure. And, you know, you see the one goal, I can't remember which one it was. There's so many goals last night. You know, Klingberg fell down coming into the zone, couldn't get up, then just stood there in front of the net, didn't take anybody. It looked like the Oilers played defense last night. It was not good. They haven't figured it out yet about playing defensive hockey, and Sheldon Keefe said as much in the post-game press conference. You know, about guys got to care less about points and more about keeping the puck out of your own net. It matters just as much. You know, they're just, you know, they've lucky the Oilers are as bad as they are to take all the national headlines away, because the Leafs aren't lighting the world on fire either.
Well, it's funny because I got NHL scouts texting me right now. I somehow got it synced up, and I didn't mean to, that they come up on my laptop when somebody texts me so I can see it. So they're getting a kick out of my comments about Sean Simpson. Well, they're here watching the show today, and incidentally enough, I was wondering where this one particular scout was yesterday because I made a comment specifically aimed at him. And it was with regards to what I heard in the press box the other night here in Florida. You don't want to play bad teams early. Remember that from yesterday, Darren? You don't want to play the bad teams in the first 10 games of the season because they don't know they're bad yet. I thought it was the most hilarious thing I'd ever heard. And true. You don't want to play a sucky team until after U.S. Thanksgiving because they'll be crappy by then. No. Does that refer to Vancouver? Does that refer to, well, what you're going to see here? Columbus is a 500 or better. Like, when are they going to realize they suck? You don't want to play them now. It was hilarious. Las Vegas. Place line, Las Vegas. Adrian Kempe had a goal and an assist in Los Angeles, beat Vegas 4-1 for its 4th win in a row. I'm with you in that you put the Kings in the top 5. I didn't have them in the top 5, but they're for real. I had to go with the sexy thing, the Canucks, the narrative. You know, last night I was on that Panthers podcast, and the guy said, you brought up the Canucks. He's paying attention down here in South Florida, what the Canucks are doing. And he brought up who gets the credit. And I'm like, well, right there, it's Rick Tocchet because nothing's changed but the coach. And then he's like, who gets the credit here in Florida for the Panthers and their 7-4-1 record? And I'm like, can we stop with the credit? Because it doesn't matter. I'm not handing out any awards right now. Let's just sit back and enjoy the games. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. It's quite interesting because Serena and I had a couple long talks the last couple of days about how we do things. And we recorded that Cats and Bolts podcast yesterday, and I love her to death, as you know. And she said, if I can't say what I want to say and be me, I don't want to be on the show. And she lit Gary Bettman on fire on that show, and I just said, keep going. You know, like, and the reason I bring that up is she goes, you need to get into what everybody's saying. And she goes, I don't care. Not only about what she says, about what anybody else says. She doesn't care. I probably spend too much time on what I'm seeing on social media and what's the buzz, and I don't answer my phone nearly as much as I used to, Darren. I think the right thing is somewhere in the middle. You know, for instance, which we will get to the Saskatchewan Roughriders coaching search probably in the next segment, a little at some point in this show. I like to know what people are saying. It doesn't mean I agree with them. There's a real anti-Paul LaPolice sentiment amongst not just Saskatchewan fans, but CFL fans. And I'm like, well, aren't you perfect? Oh, he's been fired twice. He must suck. Maybe he learned something. Maybe those teams sucked like Lorne Mulliken and the 1999 Chicago Blackhawks. It's nice to know what people are saying, but don't get swallowed up in it. And having said all that, we're going to move on to point 2. And listen up, Moose, because this is your favorite college football team. They're cheaters. The football program at the University of Michigan, among the favorites to play for the Natty, has become embroiled in an alleged sign-stealing scheme that involved impermissible in-person scouting of opponents going back as long as 3 seasons. Coach Jim Harbaugh has denied any knowledge of any kind of improper scouting scheme in his program. Oh, he's denied it. Right. When I talk to cops, they're like, oh, yeah, when they go to arrest somebody, I didn't do it. 100% of the time, talk to a cop. The NCAA investigation is likely to take weeks, if not months. The next immediate step belongs to Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti. That's his name, Tony Petitti. He's had the job for only 6 months after a career in Major League Baseball and television. Conference bylaws give the commissioner broad powers to punish schools under its sportsmanship policy. The most likely penalty here would be a suspension for Harbaugh, but Michigan has already warned that it may go to court to challenge any discipline. The allegations against Michigan center around a former low-level staffer by name Connor Stallions purchasing tickets to the games of future opponents and sending people to those games to record video of the team's signals. Your thoughts, because it's your team, and then I'll give mine.
I just think of that Shaggy song, right? Wasn't me, right? Every time you ask him,
yeah,
got you cheating on the sideline. Hey, wasn't me. Stallions was fired. So that's, you talk about meat shielding yesterday. Well, Connor Stallions was put up on the pick there. He was fired earlier. I think it was last week or earlier this on the weekend. But he was let go, involved in all of this. Everybody is commenting on this across football, across North America. The big thing is the sign stealing, not a big deal. Apparently, everybody's doing it, but it's about going and actually physically scouting. And I think the biggest thing people saw was they didn't realize this was cheating, because that's just scouting your opponents. But in NCAA, you can't do it. You can't send people on the road. You can't be spending that money and doing those things. So did they break the rules? I don't know. It comes down to who knew about it and who didn't. And I think this is just a big distraction. And I don't think it's something that we're going to hear about in terms of a decision until next season.
Yeah, and that's just assuming everybody's going to tell the truth.
Right.
Right? When you said who did what. This was going so fast, and every day it goes so fast on here that I didn't have time to answer John Ohm's question. He said, what's a meat shield? And I didn't have time. John Ohm, you just said he was a meat shield. Connor Stallions. Well, if you Google it, a meat shield is a so-called tank whose main purpose is to hold aggro from mobs and absorb damage. I don't even know what the hell that means, but a human shield might be a better definition. It's a non-combatant who either volunteers or is forced to shield a legitimate target in order to deter the enemy from attacking it. So Connor Stallions gets fired, so Harbaugh keeps his job. And I was a meat shield, a human shield. I was the problem. I was like the first meat on that shield, you know? And I will say this, what I'm seeing here and hearing is just that the NCAA, for whatever reason, has had enough of Jim Harbaugh, and they want him gone. That's the main thing. So now he's in the crosshairs. You can read all this gobbledygook and watch all this coverage on ESPN if you want an SEC network, but it doesn't matter. They just want him out. And I would think Harbaugh is just going to go, see ya. He'll go to the NFL, potentially after winning a natty this year, which, just like the Astros in 2017, won't be vacated because they don't have the balls. So it reminds me of situations I've been in my life where I'm not wanted here. You know what? I don't really want to be here either, so see ya. And if they end up suspending Harbaugh, he's going to be gone anyways. So he cheated. Yeah, he'd be the first. And he did admit to it. Also the first.
Yeah.
The Sober Carpenter text line is open, 902-518-3033. Sober Carpenter non-alcoholic craft beers proudly presents our text line every day. Ask for them by name at your favorite beer, wine, and spirits store. And we'll get to everything else that we haven't got to yet. When we come back, we're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
20% off with the promo code VRPShow at manscaped.com for any one of their wonderful products. The Weed Whacker, which does your nose and ears. The Lawnmower 2.0, which does the family jewels 2.0. Or the handyman that does your face. They got it all. VRP Show, one word, manscaped.com. Okay, let's bring in the Moose. And, yeah, a lot of audience participation here. We are the most interactive television and radio show going and streaming, Moose. You know that we are, right?
Yes.
Maybe we're crazy doing all these things that nobody else does. But these people are all here today, so we must be doing something right. Remember that kid this summer? You got a real bang out of my social media. The kid that had the oxygen tube, my guy Oakley in Moose Jaw, he's 7, and he did the roasts, right? He's like, here's one. Yeah. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Your mom's fat. From Oakley. So anyways, I talk about him almost every day to Serena. I love him because he would, Guy, he could never remember my name. So he just called me Guy. I say it all the time. And the reason is, talking about what we're interested in on this show and what we're going to cover and what we won't. Bill Edwards writes in. He says, question, do you cover the Saskatchewan Rush or other lacrosse teams? Guy, you watch every day. Yes, we do. The Saskatchewan Rush hired Evan Kirk as their goaltending coach yesterday. Make him work, Evan Kirk. Where's the guy said to me in the crowd one night? Make him twerk, Evan Kirk. Yeah, I follow it, cover it as necessary. But we're not the NLL show. And to be honest, I like the variety because God bless these junior broadcasters, and for that matter, some CFL broadcasters have been at it for a long time. I see their social media about going into this barn, this stadium, with this broadcast coming up at this time, and I'm just like, I could not do it. I did. Like 20 years, people act like it was nothing. And I don't say that bitching about it. Julio Caravata, 25 years with the BC Lions, gets suitably vetted the other day. Les Lazaruk has been the voice of the Blades since God played in the league. And God bless those guys. I can't. I just want to do other things. You know what I mean? So people seem to enjoy that, right?
Oh, yeah. The best part of it, right? The best part is being able to dip your toes into different waters and, do what we want to do. And that's not saying that, like, look, when it comes to April, we're going to be the biggest baseball fans for 5 days. And if the Jays ever get Shohei Ohtani, make the playoffs, we'll probably be huge Jays fans for another month, right? I mean, you're into what you're into when you're into it.
So, yes, Bill, yes, we follow it. And I'll tell you something. If they get an NLL team in South Florida, which we got a variety of facilities where they could play, I'll be putting my name in to be the voice of the team because that's something that I would like to do. But I don't want to leave here. I think that's fairly evident to everybody. How did we get into audience takeover? This is on me, but I'm enjoying it. David in Winnipeg, David Ice writes in and he says, Moose, being in Toronto, are they making you an honorary Argos fan for the playoffs? And your hair is looking sharp, by the way. Do you want to answer that?
They have not approached me about any sort of ceremonies or honorary titles with the football club. But I will say, if I was in Toronto and not in Vancouver where I am for the weekend, I would be at the game. I would, but not going to be the case. But yeah, I've been to a couple games. I'm a fan.
But you're not going this weekend because you're broadcasting the Hardy Cup.
Right.
John Glowa texts in on the streaming and he says, love Serena, knew she was special when I worked with her at Harvard Regina. Yes, she's great, but it's not the Serena show, and if she was here, I would tell her that right now. That Panthers post-game show I was on last night, they wanted Serena first. I'm like, she's in bed. Well, I do. Took me a while to just get used to it. Because you've rolled with me for a long time. I'm used to being the one being asked to do everything. Now it's, where's Serena? Where's Serena? Because she ain't here. Now I like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll be the Colonel Parker. She can be the Elvis. Everybody's happy. Okay, CFL Division Final preview, as I talked about. Probably next hour we'll get into the deal or no deal. We got a lot of things I want to talk about here. Variety, the spice of life. Listen, dude, our poll yesterday was, what was the game of the week in the CFL, Canada's game of the week? 85% said the West Final, which, by the way, is fine. I'm not like Dunk or Donald Trump. I'm not going to argue election results. It is what it is. I don't agree. I think it's Toronto and Montreal, and I cheer for players, not teams. But I'm not going to argue with the majority. The Argos are now 10-point favorites. It swelled to that at Bet Regal. And the West Final has BC at Winnipeg. The Bombers are favored by 5. Next hour, we'll do deal or no deal, Darren. I just want to talk about the game notes and so forth. The only interesting thing, and there was a lot of nuggets, but the only thing that stuck out with me is that Vernon Adams threw for the most yards in a playoff game ever by a BC quarterback last week. VA. And did he not rush for multiple touchdowns too? So this guy's coming in hot. He's playing a very good Winnipeg team, and this is the 3rd straight year they've hosted the West Final, so bully for them. But that's the only thing that stuck with me. For the Argos, 16 wins, franchise record, plus 27 turnover ratio, franchise record. Led the league in sacks. They got it all. They got it all. This is David and Goliath, this game. And that's another thing, by the way, where I'm like Serena, I don't care what people think. I said yesterday, not even a team quarterback by God could beat these Argos. And there were people writing in saying, leave God out of this. Well, if you were a true believer, you would know God's involved in everything. So I can handle it. I got big shoulders, bro. I'm a believer, and I'm a believer and have faith because I've seen him at work in my own life. So I can talk about it. And God knows, because we talk every day, there's no such thing as bad publicity. He likes the PR. So he told me. So, yeah, I don't care. I don't think you mind me injecting God into these football equations. Your take on the games.
Interesting, very interesting. You know, out east, this is really setting up to be favorable for the Argos. They played BMO. They play outside at BMO. They're going to play, if they make it to the Grey Cup, just down the road in Hamilton, whether they have practiced in and played in. So that's not going to be any sort of an issue. Montreal's interesting. Like, you know, these spreads swelling a little bit tells me that all the money was coming in on the Argos. So they're making the spread even more to try and get money in on Montreal. So that's going to affect things a little bit. And when we play deal or no deal, I'll get more into that. But on the West Final, it's interesting. Like, Vernon Adams is lighting the world on fire. But I think the biggest element to me is Winnipeg is so physical, and this game's going to be in Winnipeg. It's not going to be in BC Place under the dome where you've got controlled climate and all the rest. And I'm trying to pull up the weather here in Winnipeg for the weekend. It's going to be 2 degrees as the high, +2 as the high. I think that really favors Winnipeg in an outdoor cold game. So for that reason, I think Winnipeg should be the favorite. They are the favorite. And that'll be an X factor for me.
Maybe on Football Friday, we'll talk about playoff matches gone by over the years. I mean, I'm just happy watching it on television. We might have maybe we'll throw a little bit of a watch party with my CFL gang down here, but +2 is actually balmy. And I stay away from the comments here because I will have another squirrel moment. Yes, Allie in Texas. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, looks like big crowds for the Eastern and Western finals. This is when people get on board with the Canadian Football League, and usually this is when the league shines. And when I say usually, I mean last week there were double-digit games. They weren't close. I was happy because Cody was winning. I was happy because I was following to see how long Bo Levi was going to be, or when he was going to come into the game, which he didn't come in until garbage time, which will probably push the Scott Milanovich and Sask coach talk to next hour because we don't have time to get into it here. But, yeah, this is the time of year. I mean, some of us are, and a lot of this audience are following it day in, day out all year, or for at least for 6 months. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to sit and talk about the CFL for 6 months in the winter. That's not my job. We'll be doing what's best for the Rod Pedersen show, period. But for right now, this is what's exciting. Terry the lawyer writes in, he says, TSN Overdrive actually mentioned the CFL Eastern Final yesterday. Did hell freeze over and I missed it? Again, that's their deal. We don't talk about the other networks. And if we do, it's glowingly, right? Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg writes that he says, Zach Caleros isn't God, but he's close enough. He's all the quarterback you need to beat the Argos. Again, boys, you got BC in there this weekend. What are they not understanding that they have one more game? They're all talking Grey Cup in Winnipeg, man. Anybody else see a problem there besides me?
I know. It's just getting ahead of yourselves. And I think for the Winnipeg fans, and this isn't a bad thing. This is why I think the Grey Cup, if it's Winnipeg-Toronto, is extremely salacious, because they're still upset that Toronto never came to Winnipeg with Chad Kelly. And they never beat the real Argos, right? They didn't beat them. So they want their crack at them. And, just assuming you're going to get there. Don't look past Vernon Adams in BC.
While we have a minute, the poll question, and before we... No, wait a minute. We don't have a guest coming in next. I don't need to rush it. But the poll question today is for Key Auto Group, and it is, at the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence, knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed about your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. And the poll is, what is the game of the night in the National Hockey League? And the reason I bring that up and why it jogged in my memory is that not many are voting for Nashville at Winnipeg tonight. Running away with it is the Edmonton Oilers at the San Jose Sharks, 57%, because everybody loves watching the train wreck, right? 57% Oilers at Sharks. 18% say the Vancouver Canucks at Ottawa. Third is Nashville at Winnipeg. And may I remind you, Winnipeg is our number 2 city for viewership. And bringing up the rear, Chicago at Tampa Bay, which is what I'll be following because Connor Bedard makes his Florida debut tonight. But with the Jets, and while everybody in Winnipeg and Manitoba will be watching, they don't know what to do with themselves because they have nothing to complain about. Bombers are hosting the West Final for a 3rd straight year. Winnipeg's winning the Jets and are in a playoffs. But what are they literally going to complain about? Oh, we didn't get Chad Kelly in that game. Who cares? We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, everybody. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
It's a beauty of a day here in South Florida. A little rainy in some regions, but I'll take it. And, yeah, that's where I'm at. Moose is in Vancouver getting ready to broadcast the Hardy Cup this Saturday. Alberta Golden Bears and the UBC Thunderbirds. I'm sure, Darren, I don't know if you can see me in the breaks or not, but the guys in the Millennium Falcon at IKS probably wondering what I'm laughing about. It's in my own mind, having a great day, stories coming to pass in my head. And that NHL scout is texting me about Sean Simpson's podcast. And he says, Simmer probably should just do it on his own because he doesn't let his co-host say anything. And I thought, and I'm not going to out you, NHL scout, so don't worry. But Darren, do I let you talk enough? Because you're more than welcome to talk more. I don't want to be that guy that talks too much. Do you get enough talk time?
This is by design. No. I get more than enough talk time. Let's just put it at that. And if I wanted to talk more, I would just jump in and talk more.
Okay, well, you're more than welcome to do that. So my mind is going back, and I'm thinking about my little guy Oakley, who I literally love him, and I told him that because I think it's important that we do tell people how we think, especially if it's good. And I think about doing a show all on your own. Because I only want to hear Howard Stern. That's it. I was listening the other day, and I'm Robin, zip it. Baba Booey, zip it. I only want to hear from Howard. And, you know, and for years, I broadcast again. Now it's up to like 1,400 junior hockey games. And by my second season in the dub, I was tired of trying to find a color guy on the road all the time. Because as you know, it's a real pain in the ass. Like, I'd rather just do the game on my own. Everybody's told me that I know the game better than whatever color guy I could get, so I'll just call the play, do the analysis, and I'll also host in the intermissions. It's just easier. It's a pain in the ass. But then we had a guy in Prince Albert by the name of Doug Winterton, legendary hockey guy, and he was the chairman of the Raiders, and he pulled me aside one time. He said, why don't you get color guys on the road? And I said, because it's a pain in the ass, Doug. Do you not like me listening? Or sir, do you not like listening to me for the whole game? And he goes, have you ever tried to listen to a guy do a speech for 3 hours? And I was like, duly noted. So then I get down to Regina, and I'm the voice of the Pats, and we're traveling through the West Coast, and it's not easy. I might have had some late nights and needed some help on the broadcast the next night. So there was a guy in Portland, and I can't remember his name, but he was always asking me to come on the air and do color. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Man, I didn't have a budget for this. We didn't have any money. It's junior hockey. And so anyways, the guy would do color in Portland and then be up my ass for weeks afterwards wanting to be paid. And I'm like, guy, you asked. See where Oakley comes in again? Guy. You asked to do color, so get off my ass about being paid for it. Right or wrong?
Well, I mean, if you didn't tell him up front that he was going to be paid, there should be no expectation that he's going to get paid after he's done. Yeah. Right? I'm sure you didn't bring it up, and if he wanted to get on, no, you're fine. You're fine in that situation. That's
been bothering me for years.
Yeah, people do the job, and then afterwards they say, oh, by the way, that thing that I did for you that you never thought you were paying for, I want to get paid for that. You told me at the time.
Guy, you're paying me. John in Edmonton writes in on the Sober Carpenter text line 902-518-3033. He says, what's happening with the studio in the sweatpants capital of Canada? It's being used for an SJHL show, John. There you go. Stop asking. I don't know why you care so much. Kirk in Toronto writes in and says, hey, Rod, 5 degrees and partly sunny for the Eastern Final with close to a sellout. Perfect football playoff weather. How about that?
How about that?
This is what Kirk lives for all year. He's not just an anytime Charlie, right? He's been writing about the Argos into this show every day, and here we go. They're not going to crap the bed, are they, Darren? Oh. They're not going to crap the bed against Montreal on Saturday, are they?
Right? This is one of those situations of, like, you're expected to win, and, like, there's no shot of Montreal winning. The spread in a playoff game is 10. In a playoff game, like, you know what I mean? They can't, can they? But Montreal's playing the game. Why you play the game? Very interesting.
Patrolman Pete writes that he says, there's an SJHL show. Man, as an MJ guy, I am envious. Go follow the SJHL show. Go follow the SJHL on Twitter. It's very easy to find. Yeah, Clark just says not only do they have one, they have two. Follow Clark, okay? It's the RP show here. We all work together, yes, but. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says the only guy who can pull off a 3-hour speech is Donald Trump. Holy lick, are we getting off the ramp, taking a off-ramp to Crazy Town here today, which is fine. That's what happens, Clark, when the guests back out. My lawyer, you've heard me talk about him, the great William Howe, who resides in Sun Lakes, Arizona, which is a suburb of Phoenix, told me about going to watch Donald Trump speak in Fountain Hills, Arizona, which is just still in the valley. Trump supporter, my lawyer, deal with it. And he told me what an absolute gong show it was and how it was actually a disappointment. Bill was like, I thought he would be the greatest orator of our time. He goes, it was more entertaining getting in and out of there. There was protesters laying down on the 101, making a human chain so for Trump's cars couldn't get around them. It's Trump. What do you think he did? Thump, 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 just kept going. And they handcuffed themselves to the door handle of his limo, the protesters. But Bill said it was hot as hell. It's Phoenix, for God's sakes. It was in the summertime. So he said it was a little disappointing. So maybe Trump would be okay, but not for 3 hours. He's coming here. I want to say to Davie, Florida, tickets are free. I may or may not go. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, did Jeff Fairholm bail on you, Rod? No, he's coming Stour. It was Mike Hogan, the voice of the Argos. But again, it's game week. To be honest, I was a little surprised he was available at all. There's this color guy, Ben Grant. I don't know. That's whatever. It's this business now. What do they call them? Wanderers? People getting, leaving on their own, but also being hired to be fired. Natea J was their color guy, and whatever happened with him? Clark is not doing Argo color anymore? Did he piss somebody off? Did he say something he shouldn't have? It's kind of the way it goes, right?
Yeah.
Natea J. Norm Fong writes in, the Hall of Fame equipment manager of the Saskatchewan Roughriders and Regina Pats. writes in on the Sober Carpenter text line. He says, hey, Rod, keep doing what you do. The way to make the RP show better is to have more as in a long show. Keep up the great work. Signed, Fongo. Yeah, well, that's not going to happen. But you'll be happy to know, Fongo, that it looks like we're going to be having a Monday show this upcoming Remembrance Day statutory holiday. November 11th is the Saturday. I had no input on this. Darren and Joe came up with it on their own. Let's do a show. They're like, Rod, how do you feel? I'm like, well, I'm always good to work. I like to work. Call me crazy. I'm going to do a show on Monday, but it will not be on television. It will only be on streaming. And last one before we break here. Guy, Corey. You know Corey. This Austin trip. That's all I want to say. I think you guys might have gone to the ballet. Were you there? I know Peanut Butter Pete was there.
Yeah, no. I missed that trip to the ballet.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, certain people know what I'm talking about. Corey writes in and he says, hi, Rod. I'm off for 2 weeks, and I'll be watching the show every day. My prediction for the Grey Cup will be BC versus Toronto. Well, that's what Joe Madden predicted, and she's going to be with us. Is it this Friday, Clark? Joe Madden's going to be with us from Sports Grid. She predicted a BC-Toronto final, so it wouldn't surprise me. The way they're talking in Winnipeg, they're already got their hotels booked for the Grey Cup. Yeah, I think I got to tell some stories when we come back. Darren, listen, take a break. I'll handle the next segment. We'll see you for hour 2, okay?
You bet. Sounds good.
Yeah, plus I got a sports update to do too, so we'll be right back. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the City of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Glad to have you with us on this Thursday, November the 9th. It's a quick segment here. Moose will be back in hour 2. That's going to make some people real happy. And Jeff Fairholm, two-time Grey Cup champion, will be with us in hour 2. My favorite Rough Rider of all time. Before I jump into that sports update, John in Edmonton writes in and he says, I only want to hear from Moose. Sorry, Rod. Well, then turn it off in this segment, John. You're going to be very disappointed. Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg says, calling a game solo without a color man at all seems hard. Not hard at all, bro. Not hard at all. Not if you're a broadcaster and know what you're talking about. I got to stop. James in Borden, Manitoba says, when I was 18, I used to hit the ballerinas every day at lunch. That's the thing. In Manitoba, it's 18. In Saskatchewan, it's 19. And we didn't have the ballet in Saskatchewan. So we were all very excited to go to Manitoba to go to the ballet when we were 18. Or Alberta. But for us from southeastern Saskatchewan, it was quicker to go to Manitoba to the ballet. A sports update. CF Montreal is making changes after finishing 2 points short of the playoff cut line. Hernan Losada is out as head coach of the Major League Soccer club. See, we do talk soccer. Yuan Hue backstopped the Regina Pats to a point, making 38 saves in a 2-1 shootout loss to the Saskatoon Blades Wednesday night in the Centre Brant. Meanwhile, in Kamloops, Florida Panthers prospect Josh Davies scored a hattie to lead the Portland Winterhawks to a 7-3 win over the Blazers. In Vancouver, Jaden Lipinski scored the game-winning goal at 7:25 of the third period as the Vancouver Giants edged the Red Deer Rebels 4-3. Ho, ho, ho.
How about that?
In Lethbridge, Justice Christensen had a goal and an assist as the Prince Albert Raiders defeated the Lethbridge Hurricanes 4-2. And in Swift Current, Evan Friesen scored twice as the Wenatchee Wild downed the Broncos 5-1. Our sports updates brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. And for Landmark Cinemas in theaters now, 5 Nights at Freddy's. Can you survive 5 nights? The terrifying horror game phenomenon becomes a blood-chilling cinematic event as producer Blumhouse brings 5 Nights at Freddy's to the big screen. In theaters now, Landmark Cinemas, 5 Nights at Freddy's. Jeff Fairholm in hour 2, and the Moose returns right after this break. It's a quick one here on Game Plus, Key Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Let's talk a little bit about your Browns fandom.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I go down. My dad and I make an annual trip down every single year. We've been doing it since 2007. And I'm third generation Browns fan. So this was kind of born into me by choice. Probably wouldn't be my first pick with all the suffering that we've gone through. And then it got passed down to me, and I have had a less successful run as a fan so far.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Rick Regan. Hello, everybody. Welcome to hour 2 of the best dang daytime sports talk show. Certainly in Canada, we're also the only daytime sports talk show in Canada on national television. In America, we're one of them. And we're on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, and then, of course, podcast form, and we're streaming live on YouTube. Clark tells me that Moose is not with us. And but he will be, I'm sure, because I told him we were going to talk to him. Allie in Texarkana writes in, and she says, "Yay, story time with Rod is the best." Yeah, well, it's funny. Why not? Okay, we got him. Darren and I were talking about the ballet, and this is hilarious. And people here they're writing in going, "What's the ballet?" And they're saying, "Well, it's code," and it actually is code. So if you don't know what the code is, I'm afraid we can't tell you. Sorry.
You're either in the club or you're
the
not.
Stamps fan, right? Yeah, I'm sorry. And Jeff, the Stamps fan, I think he's figured out what the code is, but he said, Rod doesn't seem like a ballet kind of guy. Well, again, none of you knew me prior to 2015. And just so you know, you didn't want to know me prior to 2015. But I will say this, 2008, July, Saskatchewan Roughriders are at the Calgary Stampeders. You might know this story. My radio color commentator, Carmelo Carturi, could not make it because his sister was getting married. So we had to find a replacement color guy to go on the road to Calgary. Do you know this story, Darren?
No.
Who did we bring up? Guy by the name of John Lynch. John Frenzy, the Hall of Fame Rough Riders color man who was the voice of the Riders and did both roles, 1972 to 1982. Anyways, we get to Calgary, and John was very, very nervous about going on the air. And I'm like, what are you nervous about, John? All these people know who you are, but he's very nervous. So I took him out on the town the night before the game, and wouldn't you know it, we ended up at the ballet. And somehow or another, the bouncer at the ballet, the ballet had bouncers. Can you believe that? And the bouncer is from Saskatchewan, and he knew us. And we ended up on the stage dancing, the two of us, me and John Frenzy. And dag nabbit, he forgot all about the football game the next day. He wasn't nervous anymore. You're welcome. And the next day was the last game that Matt Dominguez ever played. Actually, it was August of 2008 because we were 8-0 or 6-0, whatever it was. That ended the winning streak. Sandro DeAngelis kicked the game-winning field goal to the last play, and it was the last Rider game Matt Dominguez ever played. He tore his knee in that horrendous turf at McMahon Stadium in Calgary, and that was, there you go, story time. Hopefully that made sense to everybody, including Ali in Texarkana. I know it does to you, Darren, and that's all that matters.
Yes.
A hyper-focused hockey story here that will mean not a lot to a lot of people, but it means a lot to us. Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg writes in, and he says, how about James Patrick becoming head coach of the Victoria Royals? That's notable for a few reasons. Notable enough that my brother would text me that yesterday, that James Patrick, affectionately named Jeep, that's his nickname, James Patrick, would take over in Victoria with the Royals. And I just got to tell you this, my brother went to Notre Dame College with James Patrick, and we both love James Patrick, so that's why he was texting. I'm like, of course I knew that, primarily because I get the emails from the Victoria Royals. They're one of the few teams that hasn't forgotten about me. And I'm just going to the big board here, Darren, because this is hard. This is a lot of hockey. James Patrick played 1,280 NHL games. And he went to Notre Dame College. That's where my brother knew him. First-round pick, 9th overall of the New York Rangers. Played a lot of years with the Rangers. And then the Hartford Whalers. And then the Calgary Flames. And then the Buffalo Sabres. 1,280 games. That's a lot. And by the way, he was also on the 87 Canada Cup team. And the only reason I know that, because you know what a couple of hockey nerds Serena and I are, we were watching Mario, Mike, and Mr. Greatness, or the Great One, whatever it was called. And I always look at the name bars. And James Patrick was on the team. I'm like, what the hell's James Patrick doing on this team? Not that he didn't deserve to be there, but I kind of thought he was like the ultimate utility guy. James Patrick, when he played as and I guess he was. That's how he lasted 1,280 games. And he's now the head coach of the Victoria Royals. Anyways, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I'm somewhat ready to move on. What do you have to say? Because we just talked about this last hour. Do I talk too much?
It's important to have somebody to tell these stories too. And I know we got the audiences listening, but you know, you don't get the reactions of the audience. You don't get to see them laugh, and you know, and that's what I enjoy too, right? I mean, but the only thing I could say is, like, I remember that, and I didn't think the ballet would be so expensive as it is, but the ballet sure is expensive at the end of the day.
Hot damn. Guess it depends what you're spending your money on. When Jeff the Stamps fan says, didn't think Rob would be much of a ballet guy. I'm not the biggest ballet guy, but this is, as God is my witness, I went because all my friends were going. I wasn't the one leading the charge to go, believe me. I was there. Yes, I was there. And I could have gone home to bed, but no, who does that? Jeff the Stamps fan says, by the way, I can tell you there aren't near as many ballets in Calgary as there once was.
I will say this. Talking about ballets, yeah. I went to the ballet in Winnipeg. I fell asleep. The actual ballet. It was the actual ballet. And it's not that the ballet was boring, it was late.
My mom and dad went to the ballet in Minnesota in the 60s with Bob Sambrick, and he fell asleep on the stage. The Code Ballet.
Right on.
I can see it leaning on the stage.
Yeah, Jeff, the Stamps fan, says the ballet is only as expensive as you want to make it. Yeah, it was never that expensive for me. Jennifer at the Four Seasons, are we getting into deep ballet talk here? She says, so did you just go to Brandon then? Or in Winnipeg? Well, I was only 18. Gas money was at a premium. Why would we go any further than Brandon? They have a ballet in Brandon. What more do you need?
You've been to one ballet.
I actually never went to the ballet, and yeah, right. What else you get it? Yeah, I mean, I never went in Winnipeg ever, but because I was a big Hooters fan there, and I liked the. To be honest, I liked the food. A lot of people don't believe me that that's why I went, but I really loved the wings there. Mark in Melfort says, I did not know you were that culturally rich by going to the ballet, Rod. Yep. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, wow, I'd love to have been a fly on the wall to see Rod and John Lynch dancing on the ballet floor. And somebody wrote in here and asked if I changed my name at the door. No, see, this is the problem. I never hid. Never. and again, you didn't know me prior to that. Darren and I met in 2015. No, I was out there, Jerry.
If we had known
all the time,
it'd be Sterling Pedersen in the door. If we had known each other back then.
Yeah, no, I did not change. And looking back, I hear all these stories now. I'm actually glad that you all think that I'm this responsible old man. I'll take it. Because after I got sober, it's wild. I went into Montreal with the Rough Riders and all the Alouette staff. I beat down the door of the Rough Riders, the visiting radio booth, to tell me stories about Manziel and what he was pulling in Montreal with the Alouettes. Man, are we off the road. I don't know what Jordan is going to label these titles for this show today. Real Talk with Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg. The View for sports fans. Because this is what really happens. So guys were coming to me, and gals actually from the Alouettes, saying, yeah, Manziel, he goes to this club. It's actually where all the Canadians go, but he's got the money that the Canadians do, and you got to check your phone at the door. High end, because the top floor, and so when you go in there, you have to toss your cell phone in the thing at the front door. Everybody. So that no pictures get out. If you want to know how Johnny has largely gone undetected for so long. And I mean, I don't get it. Like Manziel had to, I think it's okay now. We talked about the Manziel Netflix documentary yesterday. Remember, when he came into the CFL, he had to meet all these caveats or whatever. And just so you know, I was never arrested. I never got in trouble. I just made a fool of myself. That's it. The only one I did damage to was me. But in Hamilton, he totaled a rental car. That's the story I heard. You ask your boy Duncan, he'd probably corroborate it. Because we talked about it at the time. I'm like, why are you not reporting this? And for whatever reason, you have to ask Dunk. But what they end up doing, like they always do with Manziel, they just got him out of town. So they traded him to Montreal. And I'll never forget, you know Bob Merrier. You know Bob Merrier. And it's 1:11 Eastern, by the way. Sober coach to the Stars, Bob Merrier in Montreal. He called me. I don't know where I was. What year, though? 2016, something? Phone rings. He's like, Rod, yeah. Bob, yeah. And you know how he talks, Merrier. Darren, he goes, is Johnny Manziel supposed to be drinking? And I'm like, I don't think so. Why? I'm looking at him right now. He's on a patio bar on Peel Street, drinking a beer, middle of the afternoon. I'm like, what do you want me to do about it, Bob? Well, should the Alouettes know? They just got him in a trade. They just gave up 3 first-round picks for this guy. He's not supposed to be drinking. Yeah, I don't care, Bob. Call Cavis Reed. I'm pretty sure he's going to tell you he didn't care either. the general manager of the Alouettes. But again, I don't understand how some things get reported and then some things don't.
I know.
Sorry to drop that on you. I don't know what you're supposed to say. Yeah.
I don't either. It's one of those things. I mean, you have to, in the case of reporting it, you'd have to have Bob take some photos and send some photos in and have some proof. Otherwise, it's, potentially just allegations. Like he might be drinking a non-alcoholic beer. I don't know. But, but yeah, that's it. Interesting. Because guys like that, like when you're making a move and you've been given all these things that you need to do, but you haven't decided that you need to do them, right? These are the conditions to play football. You find time to do it. I just won't do it around my football people, so they won't ever know. You never know who's watching.
Yeah. That's the thing. I did my transgressions in front of everybody. I get into recovery, and you're supposed to admit your sins, with another guy, and I'm like, I got no secrets. None. Everybody knows. So it was actually a good thing. That's probably why I went so far and had success in recovery. I wasn't hiding anything. Everybody knows. Jason in Red Deer, to interject some sanity in this, he writes in and says, is anyone else a bit disturbed seeing Ticat fans dumping their Grey Cup tickets now that Hamilton is out? I would still go for the experience. Good for you, Jason. Stop trying to manufacture a controversy. It happens every year. Did you watch the Grey Cup last year in Regina? Next. Patrolman Pete says, Johnny Football's heart clearly wasn't in it. What can you do? Talked with Johnny McNamara, Andy McNamara yesterday, the big Browns fan, and he won't watch the documentary because he's still ticked off at Manziel for what he did or didn't do in Cleveland. Go watch the documentary. He goes, I just didn't want to do it anymore. It wasn't fun when I got out of college. If anybody gets it, it's me. It's like Ricky Williams. That interview, by the way, I hope you guys are starting to put some thought into the year-end interviews so it's a little easier. I want the Ricky Williams interview in our best of. Can we write that down? Because I still have people here in Florida saying, you had Ricky Williams on your show? It just happened 2 days ago. You had Ricky Williams. He doesn't do any interviews. I know. But he walked away from the NFL. And it's interesting because it's like nobody remembers his name for the last 20 years. I do, because I thought, what a huge set of balls that guy's got hanging on him to walk away from the NFL. He did it.
I know.
He didn't want to do it anymore. Yeah, Yeah.
I know. It's just like the confidence.
The nerve to be themselves.
Yes. Yeah. The confidence to just be yourself. And if it's not making you happy, I'm not going to do this anymore. So many people go through that and just, people are expecting me to do this. I should probably do it. And he's like, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm done. I want to smoke weed. I'm going to go somewhere where I can smoke weed. Be happy.
Well, we all thought that was the deal, that all he wanted to do was go smoke weed. And in a way, maybe it was. But I think he was kind of, listen, you talk to most football players, high-level football players, the second it's over, they don't want to go back. And the only reason AP wants to go back now is because he needs the money. That most guys don't want to go. They don't want to go back to the training. They sure as hell don't want to go back to getting hit. They don't want to go back. Wes Cates told me being yelled at and having a coach in your face every day, pointing out every little thing you do wrong. Once you realize, because you've been in football your whole life, you go down and realize, wait a minute, you don't have to live that way. Ricky was ahead of his time, that's all. And what did Ricky say in that interview? He goes, for those of us that were ahead of our time, we just got to sit back and wait for people to catch up. The Puck and the Pigskin podcast says that Ricky Williams interview was definitely top 3 of RP show interviews. Robert Campbell in Las Vegas says, Ricky Williams interview, some of your best work, RP. And I will just say this. You and I were talking about this the other day. People say, how come, Rod, you've had so much success in the recovery world with athletes, And I told you, I'd sit down in a room with them and just simply say, what's bothering you? Because most of us are used to being yelled at. What's wrong with you? Why can't you get your shit together? No, it's just a language thing, right? But athletes want guidance. They want structure, and they're used to being told what to do. Military, same thing. But as you said, well, it wasn't even that. I was meeting with that guy here in Florida last week, maybe 2 weeks ago now, because he wants to get into this, and he was a business guy. And he goes, no, entrepreneurs don't want that. He goes, I was one. I am one. We don't want structure. We don't want to be told what to do. And I said, that's why I don't deal with guys like you. I don't get you. So maybe you can have some success with these guys. I'm done with them. Ricky, my kind of guy. And frankly, Manziel too, but it just seems like that guy is literally beyond hope. We'll be back. Jeff Fairholm is on the way. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
2 million liters of power creates electricity. Electricity creates. View Casino.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okay, we're back on the old RP show. Don't mind me. And I know you're not. I'm just Instagramming something. Can we bring in Moose? He's in Toronto. I'm in beautiful South Florida. It's interesting. Dang, spell check. I was doing this post on a Bedard thing, and what I was typing, cheering someone else's success won't diminish yours, and spell check changed it to dimish. Spelled it wrong. Dimish. Like, why would you spell check it to being wrong?
I know.
So anyways, I've had to go and delete everything and repost it. Anyways, I don't know why. This is kind of an old school show today where we brought in a lot of audience participation here. Jeff, the Stamps fans brought some good stuff. Before I jump into tonight's hockey games, and actually CFL Deal or No Deal we haven't got to yet either. But Jeff, the Stamps fan says, I can tell you society seems to be changing. There's a lot less yelling in the workplace with the newer generations. It's kind of nice. Who was it here brought up? BW from Edmonton says, walking away reminds me of a certain Winnipeg hockey player that walked away. Just had enough. Dustin Byfuglien. He's had more money than he can ever spend. Doesn't want to play hockey anymore. And again, nobody can understand it. He's like this generation's version of Ricky Williams. And if you went and asked Dustin Byfuglien how he's doing, I'll bet she's going to say, great. John Ohm in Winnipeg. Ohm says Gizmo Williams smoked a ton of weed. Didn't hurt his on-field performance. I don't know about that. I know Giz, we shouldn't talk about his off-field proclivities. But as a professional addiction recovery coach, I can tell you this. If it's not causing a problem in your life, what's the problem? We don't see any evidence that it was causing a problem for Giz. So do what you want.
Yeah.
That's when it starts to cause a problem. That's when you need to change or have a look at things. Then you can call me. If you need help doing it, because it's tough to stop on your own. A sports update here. Let's do this. Jeff Fairholm's on the way. We'll be talking some CFL with Fairway. The red-hot Vancouver Canucks visit the Ottawa Senators in one of 11 games in the National Hockey League tonight. The Canucks have reeled off 4 straight wins and sit in second place in the West. The Sens, meanwhile, coming off a 6-3 victory last night in Toronto. The Winnipeg Jets will try for their 3rd straight win tonight as they host Smashville. Jets are 3rd in the Central Division, Preds 2nd to last. The Montreal Canadiens will carry a 4-game losing streak into Detroit, and the Edmonton Oilers visit the San Jose Sharks in a battle of the league's 2 worst teams. Seattle Kraken forward Jordan Eberle will miss tonight's game in Colorado after suffering a deep skate blade cut to his upper leg. That happened in practice yesterday. And the Chicago Bears host the toothless Carolina Panthers. Both of them are toothless. They're going to be gumming each other. Thursday night NFL matchup. The 2 teams meet for the first time since a blockbuster trade. Sent receiver DJ Moore to Chicago and gave Carolina the 1st overall pick, which they used to select Bryce Young. Reminds me of that fish biting Chris from the Bronx on Sunday morning. Oh, he bit me. Has he got teeth? No. That's the Bears and the Panthers tonight. Sports updates brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas, November 17th, Hunger Games, the Battle of Songbirds and Snakes, starring Rachel Zegler and Tom Blythe. And also brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. We can get back into the life talk if you want, but I'm enjoying I'm enjoying the actual sports talk, and I want to ask you this. Somebody wrote in here, I think it was Jeff, the Stamps fan, about the Flames calling up Dustin Wolf potentially soon. I'm sure they have their reasons for doing that. Maybe to reward him. I'm assuming he did. Okay. I assume he's doing great things in the minors and has earned that opportunity. But the Flames don't play tonight. The poll question today is, what is the game of the night in the National Hockey League? And our poll is brought to you every day by Key Auto Group. Driven by safety, experience peace of mind with our comprehensive multi-point inspections. Visit keyautogroup.ca for automotive excellence. And it's the Flames at the Leafs tomorrow night. So before we talk about all these other games, I know this now, and I just know it because I just got a little more experience than anybody else on our crew, just in terms of years. I'm the oldest one involved in this show. Every year we get sucked into this thinking that the games mean more earlier than ever. No, every year we think that. Every year. And Calgary's at Toronto tomorrow night. The Tree Living Bowl. The Boston Pizza Bowl. Can we say that? Like, huge game for the Leafs. They're sucking it lately. The Flames going for a third straight win. Are they for real? Like, that's a big one, man. That game tomorrow is tonight's biggest game. The Flames at the Leafs. What do you think?
I know. It really is. But comes to the poll question, we're not talking about it enough. It's the Sharks and the Oilers. Like, whenever has a game between the league's two worst teams, the bottom of the standings, ever been the game of the night? Like, when is that ever the case? But, like, I honestly think that, and I don't know who the chief of police is in Edmonton, but you need to have the police service outside the arena. You need to have the fire department outside the arena. You need to, like, everything needs to be, if they lose that game, I do not want to be anywhere near the city of Edmonton if they lose to San Jose. Like, it's over. Like, it is over if they lose to San Jose.
I'm glad. I'm really glad that you brought that up. Jen from the Four Seasons writes in. She says, I don't expect an Oiler win. Pickard, I believe, is starting. I would love to be pleasantly surprised, though. Greg with 3G is writes in. Let's call him 3G Greg. He says, hey, Rod and Darren, who do we have winning tonight, Sharks or Oilers? I'll pick the Oilers. What are you going to pick?
I'll pick the Oilers. There's no way. Like, they can't lose.
Oh, of course, there's a way. You never know.
Of course.
While we play the games.
Yeah.
But I just want to point in that Jordan Howie writes that he says, good morning, Rod. I'm listening into the show from the Patriots house in Frankfurt, Germany. Excited for the game this weekend. If there's anything that would get me to go to Germany, that would be it. NFL football. I'm not anti-Germany, but I'd like to have a reason to go and something to do there that would make me feel like home. So good for you, Jordan, and thanks for tuning us in all the way from Frankfurt, Germany. How about that? But I wanted to ask you this. I voted for Blackhawks at Lightning. Any game, I'm so used to being the odd duckling that I don't even care. For instance, I'm in the 15% that thinks the CFL East Final is the more intriguing game this weekend, but whatever. I think that the Chicago at Tampa Bay game tonight is the most important. Nobody else seems to, other than the Bedard family and Mike Lee watching in Hawaii right now. Hey, Joe. So there's some NHL notes we need to address. Don't let me forget about Bedard. I want your take on that, which incidentally, Serena and I discussed it on the Cats and Bolts podcast. Bedard's rookie season. It drops at 4 p.m. Eastern today. Cats and Bolts. But yesterday after Oilers practice, Jay Woodcroft said they demoted Jack Campbell as a message to his teammates. And then they interviewed the teammates. And they all, of course, on cue, were going to say they let him down. Evander Kane said that. And I'm thinking it's no different than grade 2. We're going to punish little Darren because of all you kids can't shut up or you won't go to sleep. So he's got to go stand in the corner because you kids won't. It's the exact same mentality. And I can't really remember if it works. And if it works, does it work for long? We're going to make an example of this guy. We're going to humiliate this guy. From all accounts, the nicest guy on the team because you guys suck. Will it work?
Great question. We're going to find out. I can't answer. We're going to find out. We're going to find out how they play tonight. Is there any guilt? And, you know, you didn't beat Vancouver. You showed up to start that game, but then completely folded. How will you play against the league's worst team? I mean, back-to-back games, San Jose allowed 10 goals. This is supposed to be one of the best offenses in the NHL. You mentioned all the guys, McDavid, Draisaitl, Evander Kane, Zach Hyman, right? Like, they should score 15 goals on San Jose tonight if A equals B and B equals C. And A should equal C, right? But nothing can be explained about this Oiler team this year.
Guy, 3G Greg, writes in and says, funny how a game against a bad opponent has way more pressure. Look at the standings and where Edmonton is. It's one rung down the ladder into the sewer to San Jose. They're both bad teams. So there's pressure on both of them. Guy. Patrolman Pete, by the way, in Winnipeg, writes in and says, there's an old Chinese saying, kill the rooster to scare the monkey. That's like the other old Chinese saying, if Kelly McCrimmon doesn't want him, you don't want him. And what do you think about Connor Bedard? 11 games, 7 points, -8. Deal or no deal? What do you think?
Well, the -8 doesn't scare me because I think that was going to be a given. Chicago was going to give up a lot of goals. They were going to be in a bad spot. They were never expected to win a lot of games. I thought Bedard would have a faster start than this, but I fully expect he'll go on a run here soon and get back up to close to a point a game. But 7 points in 11 games, that's not bad. He's playing pretty well, and he'll be right there as a finalist for the Calder and probably win it.
It's your lucky day. It's your lucky day. We're going to play CFL Deal or No Deal before we let you go. Division Final Weekend Edition, Moose. If you're ready to go, let's do it. I will give the betting lines, and Darren will decide whether he takes the bet or not. Then I'll tack on mine. It's brought to you by BetRegal, our official betting partner. Sign up for free this weekend at betregal.net. The CFL Eastern Final has Montreal to Toronto. The point spread has swelled to 10 points. The Argos are favored. Deal or no deal?
No deal. I'll take Montreal because the point spread got up to 10, double digits. I'll take Montreal. A couple days ago, I would have taken Toronto.
I'm still taking the deal. And in the West Final, the BC Lions are at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Bombers are favored by 5 now. Deal or no deal?
I got a deal there, and for me, it's the weather and the climate, and I think it favors Winnipeg.
Deal from me too, dog. Thank you, Moose. Everybody sign up at betregal.net for free today. Join the free club and enjoy this weekend's CFL games. You're clear, Moose. We'll see you a little later. All right, Jeff Fairholm joins us next to talk about the Ryder head coaching search and this weekend's CFL Division Finals on Saturday. Yeah, lots to get to. A fairway next. Live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
What a special surprise. I would say unscheduled, but that's not the case. We've had Jeff Fairholm booked in here for a while, but to my favorite all-time Rough Rider, two-time Grey Cup champion, Jeff Fairholm joining us today to talk a little CFL ball out there in the West Fairway. Good to see you. I'm going to jump right into it. If you don't mind, some pretty good matchups this weekend. Montreal at Toronto, the East Final. Winnipeg at, BC at Winnipeg West Final. Who do you think advances to the Grey Cup in Hamilton?
Deja vu all over again, huh? Let's, I don't know. At the risk of going against, I don't know. I don't really know what's going to happen. I think Toronto's going to beat Montreal pretty handily, but I'm going to actually take BC over Winnipeg, just to go against the grain a little bit. I think they're playing really well. If they can, depending what the weather's like, I haven't looked what the weather's going to be like, but I'm going to take BC as an upset.
They're saying +2 in Winnipeg and decent. I mean, you've been through the wars. And I got to be honest, dude, you were on the 89 Riders. Just jarred in my mind. That upset the 16-2 Edmonton Eskimos. Are you in the West Final? Are you getting any feels of that particular weekend in this East Final? The 16-2 Argos, another former team of yours?
Yeah, I always do at this time of year, actually. Whenever we get into the playoffs, my I don't know what it is. I get tingles all the time. So it's kind of fun when the playoffs start because it's such a great time of year. It's because, CFL all over the place. And, when we played in the 89 semi and then the final, of course, beating a 16-2 team, it was obviously very special. And then beating Hamilton and arguably the best Grey Cup game in history. It's something that I'll never forget. And I hope these players really value that, these chances don't come around very often. And, if BC goes into Winnipeg and loses again, they're going to have to make changes, obviously, because they can't wait for Winnipeg to get older. Montreal is going to have it, really tough. I think Toronto is ready for them. I haven't heard anything like we heard in '89 going into Edmonton, where there were a couple of players that said we were sheep going to slaughter and things like that, which you don't want to put that kind of stuff on anyone's bulletin board. But I haven't heard any of that coming from Toronto. I know they have a tremendous culture in the locker room. Look at how many people they're signing early, coaches and players, and it would take a miracle for Montreal to do anything against Toronto.
They have assembled a super team over there in Toronto. And you're right. The only difference between this bunch and the 89 Eskimos is they have shut their yap and just gone out and humbly done their business. But if I may, why not, man? What do you remember about that snowy Sunday in Edmonton and why you guys were able to, why David beat Goliath that day?
Well, we were 9-9, and I think we had a culture and a team that just didn't falter. We had a lot of adversity during that year that caused us to be 9-9, and we never got down on each other. Our locker room was very, very tight. We had a locker room, even though we had some tremendous coaches, we had a locker room that just didn't let anything happen. We had a good mix of young and old, and we just believed that we could go in there and do it. We were one of the only teams that beat Edmonton during that year. So we had that in our back pocket, and being one of those two teams, we felt like we could do it. And we had a tremendous game plan. I mean, our defensive game plan, people forget, but we blitzed the heck out of Tracy Hammond. They didn't have an answer for us. And then offensively, we studied a lot of film, and we had a great game plan going in where, especially on those in and out coverages and things, we had a great game plan for Ray and I to be able to get inside out or outside in on them. So that's how we scored those touchdowns. So, it was just great game planning, and, we worked hard. That's, and we believed we had a tight locker room.
It's funny. I had Rocky DiPietro on a couple of weeks ago. You may or may not know he is the CFL Alumni of the Year along with Leo Ezrins. And I said to Rocky, was that 89 Grey Cup the best ever? Because he was in it for Hamilton. And he's like, yeah, I think it was. Somebody's got to lose. It was very classy of him the way that he answered that. I know that I couldn't pull it off that way. If you were hiring the next head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who would you be hiring, Jeff Fairholm?
Well, I think it's got to be someone safe. I don't think Jo can go off and take a chance on anybody. I've heard a lot of names being bantered about, and I just don't think that a first-time head coach would be the play right now. I think bringing, people like, Henry Burris up, and I think that's a great idea in time, but I just don't think it's right for the Saskatchewan Roughriders right now. I think they need to go with someone who's relatively safe. And, I think, the guy in Toronto or the guy in Hamilton is probably the number one pick. And then, from there, I would sort of, ease down into some offensive coordinators, or defensive coordinators who have really paid their dues, who might be ready for a chance. But I'm hoping for the safe pick.
And that's Milanovic. Let's say that he gets offered the world to stay in Hamilton, and this is just you and me shooting the breeze, man. I'm not going to hold you to any of it, but let's just say he's not available. Who's your next guy? And the reason I say that is Paul LaPolice. He's a close personal friend of mine, and I can't separate my heart and my head. That's why I'm not in a management role hiring anybody. But I think it's bunk when they say he's been fired twice, because two things stick out to me on that. Number one, maybe he's learned something. And number two, the teams weren't very good in both places. I don't think that should preclude him from ever being a head coach again. But maybe I'm wrong. What do you think?
No, I agree with you. I think Lapo's great, and I love Lapo. He and I coached together in Toronto, and we're friends as well. And he hasn't been mentioned. I haven't heard his name a lot, so maybe he's not sticking his name in the ring. Maybe he's taking another year off to work with TSN. But I think he'd be great. I mean, but you have to remember, we're in a rebuild. We weren't a very good team for 2 years either. So does he really want to take a team like that? But where else are you going to get an opportunity to be a head coach? He's been in Regina. He knows it. I would call him a small town guy as well. He knows what the bubble is like there. I think he'd be great. I think he should be on the list. He should be interviewed for sure, without question.
Well, you're preaching to the choir. And the other thing is he knows the market. I don't think Scott Milanovic does. Yeah. As a matter of fact, last I knew, Lapo had a house in Regina. He was renting it. He's a very wise businessman, too. And you, of all people, must agree. You need to know that market, because if you don't know what you're walking into, it would take you a year to figure it out.
Absolutely. And I hope one thing that the Riders do is I hope they hire a coach that they mandate and they say you have to stay in Regina in the off season. this flying coaches in and out, I just don't think it works. And especially in a market like Saskatchewan, I think you need someone who's going to stay there, help market the team, help market, what his plans are and things like that. So I hope they go that route. And Lapo would probably be that guy. He'd probably stay in town. I think I would mandate that if I was JL for sure.
I agree, but you also know, as someone who knows it as well as me, you win, you could live on the moon. They wouldn't care. You just need to win, right?
Yeah, but I think you need to have, it's a community-owned team. Let's remember, right? And you know that. I mean, you live there. I think it's super important to have the coach and as many coaches as you can and players to stay around in the off-season market. It's just what I think. It's what I would do if I was JO. But it's a bubble, and it's tough. And yeah, you can win, but sooner or later you're going to lose. And I think you might buy yourself a year or two if you ingrain yourself in the community. But you're right. It's a tough place to play. It's like being a Maple Leaf in Toronto. It's obviously on a smaller scale, but it's the same idea. And anybody that goes in there is going to have their eyes wide open. Because, again, this team is not very good, and they have a lot of changes to make, especially within the locker room culture, as I've mentioned on past shows.
Yeah, well, I agree with all those things. Been saying it for a long time. But I'm sitting here in South Florida. They clearly don't agree. So we'll see. We'll see who they hire. Fairway, thanks for this. Enjoy the Grey Cup, and let's do it again soon.
Look forward to it, Rod. Enjoy South Florida. It sounds awesome.
Thank you, my man. The great number 18 slot back Jeff Fairholm, two-time Grey Cup champion. When we come back, maybe we'll dabble in another sports update, see what's popping there, or just go headlong into the pool of comments and audience takeover in Overtime, brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. It's all next in our final segment of the day. Coming up next on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Hi, my name's Logan Stanko.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
It's Overtime, brought to you daily by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. A slap shot away from the old Crossroads Flea Market. It's where skill and fun collide, an amusement park for hockey enthusiasts. Have we got you sold yet? Check it out this weekend, Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Try out the Rod Pedersen Show lane, designed specifically for us and for the best shooters. It's licensed. It's got a bar and restaurant in there. What are you waiting for? Check them out, Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, proud partners of the RP Show. I'm going to jump right into the comments, and I know we can ride this out because we got enough comments from our wonderful audience, the Rod Squad, to carry us. Brian in Edmonton says the Toronto-Calgary game, this is NHL, tomorrow night could be a showcase of trade partners. What are you alluding to? Are they saying that, Clark? Is it going to be a trade between the Leafs and the Flames? Is that what they're saying? Because Tree Living and Conroy are buddies? Yeah, who? Anybody? Okay. Okay. He says Nikita Zadorov, Chris Tanev. He said Markstrom's been mentioned. Yeah, what did we say on the show yesterday? If I was sitting at the podium dressed in a suit and boot, I would say, speaking into a microphone, we don't address rumors. I'm sorry, I just can't get into it. Why? It's wasted energy. I understand how everybody wants to get into, well, who could do this? Who could do that? Not me. Randy from Winnipeg says, anyone pumped for Thursday night football? 2-7 Bears versus 1-7 Panthers. I probably won't be watching, but the reason I perked up when you said that is I want people's take on this. If I have it read right, I mean, we live in a different time than what we used to. The television ratings every week used to be published in the Globe and Mail, and you older viewers will remember this. In Canada, the U.S. audience has no idea what I'm talking about, but they would have the television ratings, even in my heyday, as John Shannon referred to it, his and my heyday. When he said that, I was like, I thought I was still in my heyday, but whatever. Nowadays, I don't know where the ratings are. So somewhere I saw on Twitter that the CFL ratings coming out of last weekend, the first round of the playoffs, was 50% of what it was 10 years ago. I mean, I don't really care. I was watching. I'll always be watching. But why are 50% less than 10 years ago? If that's true. Because I don't know where the ratings actually are, where if I would get them. But it's fun to talk about on shows like this, where facts don't matter. Coffee table show. If that's true, why are the ratings down that much? Because I had a guy, Kurt, write me on Twitter from Lloydminster, former radio guy turned car salesman, making some real cheese. Now, he goes, well, hey, everybody had to work on Saturday. Well, I'm like, well, you had to work. selling cars, but not everybody had to work on Saturday. But he's speaking for himself. Most people do just speak for themselves. He's like, probably the car dealerships closed on Sunday, and had the games been on Sunday, he'd have been watching. Fair. But I don't know that that speaks for the whole country in a 50% cut. And it's why I don't understand. You can't ask, you look at attendance dipping in various leagues. You can go ask the people that are there why they came. It's very hard to go ask the people that aren't there why they didn't. So I don't know the mentality of why the ratings dipped. To tonight's game, it's not a great matchup, so I understand that. I understand if you're not going to watch the Panthers and the Bears, I probably won't. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, with streaming being so popular, are the ratings even relevant anymore? They are to advertisers, Jerry. Very, very important to advertisers. That's about it. It is a whole new world. Like this afternoon, the podcast that Serena and I host, the Cats and Bolts podcast, will be dropped, as they say. And we're having people write us about comments she said or I said 6 weeks ago on the show. They're going back and watching 6 weeks ago. I would never do that. Having said that, we watch Netflix shows, and now we're into the morning show, and that's been out for a few years. It's a different time. So again, we're in a very competitive industry, competing for eyeballs, and I couldn't be any more grateful that you people have decided to spend part of your day with us, because it's hard. It's very hard. John Ohm says, I'll be watching hockey tonight over that lousy Thursday night football game. Well, of course, the Jets are home to Nashville. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, is that a 10-year downward trend, a literal comparison to 2013? I don't even know where I should have screenshotted it. I don't even remember where I saw it. Ryan in Toronto says, the show was a ton of fun today. Then again, it always is. See you all tomorrow, Rod Squad. I'm going to get a haircut. Wouldn't you know it? Right when you're having a good hair day. See you tomorrow, noon Eastern, for a Football Friday here on Game Plus and Key Radio.
Who has more fun than us?